The 90s have arrived for this franchise, and that means a new breed of punks. Unfortunately, 90s punks are like blank pieces of paper who just mope around and shrug a lot. This should be fun. Two of them break into a military research facility, for funsies I guess, where the zombies from the first two films and the chemical that made them zombies are stored. And of course, because the military are fucking clueless idiots, they start reanimating corpses because they'd think they'd make a cool bioweapon and that nothing could go wrong. Until obviously everything goes wrong.
Jesus Christ. It came back to life.
And during this carnage, I realized that now that I've watched hours of waxwork extras, I'm seeing director Anthony Hickox everywhere, like in this scene where he gets zombied to death. The punk kids are mildly annoyed by this display and head home to have some sex. Of course, the guy's dad is in charge of the zombie program, and after it goes haywire, he's replaced by Sarah Douglas, and then reassigned again, which leads to typical 90s angst of dad has to work all the time to make sure that the bills are paid, and I hate him. Overcome with those emotions, the two head out for a motorcycle ride and end up in the stupidest possible accident of all time, leading to the girl's death. And since they just saw corpses get reanimated, yep, you can see where this is going. Return of the Living Dead 3 was directed by Brian Yuzna of Society fame, and while it's certainly a unique take on the subject matter, it's also rather mean-spirited and, well, it's gross. Once the girl is zapped with trioxin and becomes a zombie, she has to cause pain to herself to snap out of the whole must-eat brains thing. And while this is an interesting early look at the whole self-harm affliction that some people have, you also just don't want to keep looking at it, you know? There's a subplot that features Blade from Midnight Madness as a member of a gang that also gets exposed to the virus, but if you think that's leading to a huge zombie outbreak, think again. No, this is a rather intimate zombie tale, and I'm torn on if that's a good thing or not. The lack of rampaging zombies feels like a negative, and makes this seem like a movie from another series, or one piggybacking on a famous name. Then again, as I said, at least it's unique, and some people find the whole Romeo and Juliet and zombies approach appealing.
How could you eat that? Man.
It's your fault.
Me?
You made me this way. You brought me back. You should have just left me dead.
Is that what you want? Do you want to be dead? All right, that's fine. What was I thinking? Look at you, you're disgusting.
Yeah, we've all had this fight. Now, to this movie's credit, any movie that shoots at the LA River will get some kudos from me. It's here where we meet the character of Riverman, who turns out to be the best character in this thing.
They were floating along just as nice as you want her. Then they round the corner, and she rose up like a big old black viper and pulled them under, just like that. Swallowed them whole. Never found one of them.
Also, was there no humidity in the 90s? How did everyone wear 11 shirts? I can't even go outside in one. Conditions start rapidly deteriorating at this point though, which when another sex scene creeps up, you really have to wonder what makes someone say, yeah, I'm gonna have sex with that. She's been dead for hours and is completely falling apart. Let's do this. The finale seems more inspired than anything else leading up to it, but then again also seems like an afterthought or a scene from a different movie entirely. It's here or close to here where you really start to notice how grating the cheap synth score is too, except in the moments where it clearly just mimics the music from Aliens. The fourth Vestron video series Blu-ray continues the tradition of multiple featurettes on isolated topics. There are 5 of them this time, the first being a 27-minute interview with director Brian Yuzna and writer John Penny. Again, Yuzna just does not seem like the kind of guy who'd be making all these demented horror movies, but it's still fun to hear him tell stories. Penny notes that he thinks he got hired because he had worked on the first film as an assistant editor. Living Dead Girl is a 20-minute interview with star Melinda Clarke, who somehow looks almost exactly the same as she did 25 years ago. Romeo is Bleeding is 17 minutes with star J. Trevor Edmond. There are 18 minutes spent talking about the insane special effects, and then there's a 13-minute segment called Trimark and Trioxin, which is something that I really want on discs like these, as an executive from Trimark, the film's production company, talks about the business at the time Return of the Living Dead 3 was being made. Also, there are 2 commentary tracks, one with director Brian Yuzna, and another with star Melinda Clarke and the film's special effects supervisor. Not licensed for this disc, but available on the More Brains documentary DVD, is a 20-minute featurette called Love Beyond the Grave, which features interviews with Yuzna, star J. Trevor Edmond, and Steve Johnson, the FX artist and husband to Linnea Quigley. Lucky bastard. Most of this material is covered by the extras on the new Blu-ray, but it's still worth a look for completionist's sake. Like I said, I'm pretty torn on Return of the Living Dead 3. I want to give it all the credit in the world for lots of things, but I also just don't want to watch it again either. I can get behind the direction it wants to go in, but it's unsettling to the point where I never really want to revisit it. The Blu-ray is worth it though, and so I'll give this one a toss-up rating since I certainly didn't hate it. Surely future installments will build on what this film tried to do, right?